dock. I'm Jenny from the dock. I've been cheating on Adriana. I know, shocking. And I've started a new account trying to play some Jenny. So I won't make character guides unless I feel like I did my due diligence in playing the character and exploring and finding out all what they do. And I think I've finally put in enough games with Jenny. If I wanted to, I could drop this video on release date and it'll probably get a little more views because the SEO value is more viable when a character is just released. But I want to get the games in, so here we go. Here is how to play Jenny. Also, I feel like I have to mention this every video. I'm a plat player, so if you're looking for plat Jenny advice, like maybe come to me. But if you're looking for even more advanced tips and tricks, I know there's a Jenny Discord that is super friendly, and there's a lot of streamers that are super high elo. Maybe I know Wraith Kira played her for a bit, Absolute Terror's been playing her. Maybe you watch a couple of those guys and see what they're doing on Jenny. So I'm going to start with what I dislike and what I like about Jenny. So what I don't like is that she doesn't have great base stats. This was especially true on release, but they've buffed her since then. It was especially true because of her passive. I think the team was a little afraid to give her like solid stats because she does essentially get a second life. She also has some troubles routing. I think a lot of her routes route her through some pretty hot zones or heavily contested places in the meta, which isn't all that big of a deal, but if you're searching for a route to start, you can get a lot of wacky routes that probably won't feel great for new players. And then lastly, her abilities can like work against her sometimes. An example is if you're fighting someone and then you go down but they're low, it takes a bit for you to pop up from your play dead. So it's pretty unfortunate that they can just walk away. Along with that, she does rely on spacing, and if you're red form, your carpet can actually pull them into you. So if you're not completely aware of what you're doing, you could essentially sign your own death warrant. So she is my secondary for a reason. I played her, been grinding her, mostly because she's really fun, right? I think her stance changes is really unique, and then her passive is probably the most unique passive in the game. I also like that if you fuck up, it's pretty easy to unfuck yourself. There's a decent amount of escape in her kit, and especially if you just die, like you can get back up, assuming you got enough hits in. I think that's pretty cool. It's something that made the learning process a little more forgiving for me. And lastly, I hate to say this as like a point, but she's hot. She's like hot enough that I'm gonna fuck around and make a fan cam. That's how hot she actually. Here we go.
You so fucking precious when you smile. Hit it from the back and drive you wild. Yeah. Girl, I lose myself up in those eyes.
Yeah, that was a thing that just happened, and I am not going to apologize for it. So let's get into the abilities. Starting off the passive, it's going to be a lot easier if I break this into two parts, the rehearsal and the play dead. So for rehearsal, you have two different forms which you can flip through with your E. They grant different effects. The red form is called red wine. It increases your attack speed, and the black form is called black tea. It increases your movement speed. The second part to her passive is the play dead, which is the passive that most people pay attention to. So every time you shoot, you do damage to a person, right? You can shoot an animal, person, even a camera. You fill the bar above your head. Once this gets halfway, you can use play dead, which is pretty self-explanatory. Someone kills you, you play dead. You go invisible for a couple seconds, get a little health back, and then you pop up. When you pop up, if someone's near you, it actually does damage to them. Her Q is her spotlight that goes pop, pop, pop. It is a spell that does damage. It's pretty much self-explanatory. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but it's good for charging the rehearsal and making sure your play dead actually goes off. Along with that, if your bar is filled halfway, then it has bonus effects. So if it's on top of her and she is in red form, she gets bonus attack speed, and if she is in her black form, she gets bonus movement speed. Her W is her carpet, which is pretty straightforward. She throws it out and you can recast it to either push or pull someone. The push or pull is going to depend on what form you're in. The push is going to be black and the pull is going to be red. Just a quick tip to remember this. The way I remember it is if I'm black, I get the movement speed, and a lot of the times I want to run away from people, so it's more of a defensive spell and it pushes. If I am red, then I am trying to fight because I got that attack speed bonus and I want to pull people into me. So Jenny's E, I already told you, it's how she changes roles. She gets an empowered auto after using her E. If I had to compare it to something like Lee, it's kind of like Jin on his 4th auto. Also, the passive for the ability is every 4th shot you get an empowered shot. A star will appear next to Jenny when this is the case, so that's kind of your indicator. The damage from the 4th shot scales with skill amp, which is going to explain like a lot of builds. So Jenny's R, she summons a stage, and then a couple seconds later it explodes. When people are inside the stage, it will slow them, and then on explosion it will charm. It also resets her E, so that's pretty useful in combos. Then D skill is just going to be the pistol skill, which is you get a burst of movement speed and it reloads your gun faster. So I think the main thing people struggle with, or at least I did when I was first learning the character, is to remember which way the carpet goes. I kind of give you a trick to remember that, but just know that you can be more aggressive with that red form and more wary with the black. When I'm running away from people, I like to drop the carpet when I am in the black T form. I just think it's a lot more efficient to push people away. You can flip the carpet, so it does effectively the same thing when you're in the red form. Just the issue is you drop it on top of yourself, so it is a little less effective. How do you manage these forms? I think that's something a lot of people don't really understand, or kind of just willy-nilly like are in whatever form they're feeling. What I do is at the beginning of the game, I'll walk around in the black form because I do get that movement speed. But after I'm full build, I actually switch and I walk around in the red form. It gives me that increased attack speed, so it's better for farming. And if I engage an enemy, I do want to start on that red form or my attack speed because I'm going to be doing more damage that way. Also, if someone I run into is just like way out of my league, like I'm really behind, I walk into him red form, I can dip pretty easily by switching to my movement speed form, which is a lot better escape than the other way around. So one thing I do notice people kind of messing up on is they'll engage a fight with their E. I don't think that's the best move because that's probably your best dodge in your kit, right? I guess you could argue that pistol skill you could dodge things with, but it's a lot more reliable to hold that E and then be able to use it when they throw a skill shot or like something that's really going to mess up your DPS. So the main combo I see is that people kind of want to poke around, get their bar halfway, and then once they do that, they will pop their ult and push them into their ult with their red carpet. And at that point, you have like the meter halfway, so you can drop your Q on both you and the enemy, and you're going to be doing like a good chunk of damage. The only issue with this is if they're melee, then dropping the Q on both of you gets a little sketch because you do have to walk pretty close. Your Q isn't that big, but hopefully with the slow and the charm, that kind of negates that. The only thing other than that is I poke around with my Q and W to like start fights a lot. It just feels pretty good. If I pull them into me though and I am red form, you can just E away and then kite from there. Alright, so I want to talk about play dead a bit. I have earlier in the video, but to be fair, when you play dead and you come back up, you have two options. You can either fight or you can disengage. It sounds pretty straightforward, but you kind of got to make that judgment call like pretty quickly. Most of the time you probably want to fight. It depends on where their health bar is at and their cooldowns, but when you get up from the fight, you want to position yourself so you pop on them to get that extra burst of damage, and then you can kind of throw all your cooldowns or your abilities at them because they're not on cooldown. If you want to disengage, I think it's pretty easy, pretty doable. One mistake that I make a lot is that you gotta commit in one direction. You don't crawl very fast. Even if they're following you, just commit in one direction, trust me. If I had $1 for every time I second guessed it and like doubled back into someone, where I could have just gotten away if I kept crawling, like I'd have a lot of money. Also, with the disengage, your cooldowns, again, like they start ticking down when you are playing dead, so you're probably going to have your E up and you'll have your W up, so you can use that to disengage. I'd make sure your black form, when you do use that W to disengage, it's usually a little more effective. And then you might also have your weapon skill, which is another disengage. One thing to note, if you didn't know this already, your E actually can take you through walls. So if I have the opportunity and I'm trying to disengage, I will crawl towards a wall and then E through it like right away. This last tip, I feel like a lot of people don't do, but check bushes with your Q. It's kind of like the AGW that I talked in past videos, but you don't want to walk into like a Hun Wu that is looking just to face roll his keyboard and then one shot you before you get your play dead up. So make sure you you check bushes with that Q. The cooldown's really not that bad, and if you don't have it for a fight, it's not the end of the world, so just check those bushes with the Qs. Hey, I have another video on Jenny routes, and I think these routes are fun, but they are a little wonky, I will admit that. I'll leave that in the description, but I'm going to show you what I run in ranked and what like my meta route is. With a side note though, I did look up what like the best Korean player for Jenny is routing, and they actually go Stampede. I go Electron Blaster, which is a little different. In my opinion, I like it a little better, but I'll link what the Korean player is building, or at least show you his match history. So if you're looking for that, that will also be in the description. But here's some routing. Okay, here is how I route Jenny, right? So this is my favorite route. I'll leave this in the description because I don't expect you to look this up, especially if you're an English speaker. So I take the EV Electron Blaster. I know a lot of people like Stampede, some people like Magnum Boa. It's kind of just your spice of life, you know, but I really like this gun. It feels like I can get a lot of like shots off before reloading, of course, and that charges my meter up quickly, so I can use my passive play dead. The routing, start in factory, I think that's a really good starting area just because it's got a ton of good resources and many people travel there. Very highly contested area. We go into Uptown pretty quick. You're speed running through factory. If you miss like your oil, it's no big deal. So we go into Uptown. This is going to be one of the big zones that you spend a lot of time in. Uptown and Dock probably has the bulk of your resources. You got to get most of your stuff here. If you don't, it's not a huge deal. Like if you miss Piano Wire, you can go Chapel, but you really want to hit here. You're gonna have your gun by Uptown, but it's gonna be really tempting to do like chickens or something level 1 because that's how you're gonna get your level 2 gun or your green weapon. But I'm gonna say wait till you at least get your rug, because that's gonna make you take like half the time in killing that chicken. You pretty much have to take the full clip to kill a chicken level 1. So after that, I usually actually get the Doggo TP, but after that I TP over into Chapel. If you're lucky, you could route there, but most of the time you'll be TPing out. You pick up a few things Chapel. If you miss like Bottle, obviously not a big deal because it's in Dock, and then you're going to move down to Dock. Usually I don't get my stones till Chapel. It's just pretty convenient because then I can craft my radar. If you want to wait longer, like I think that's fine as well. But once you get to Dock, everything kind of falls together, and say you spawned on like this back end area of factory and you might have missed some stuff coming in, you can always dip back in after you're done with Dock. But from there, it's just kind of game on. You can go contest an objective, start farming, maybe if this is a quicker build, get vision, see if you can find some people wandering into Dock late. I know a lot of people wander into Dock to fight for bears, so that is a possibility. I'd say the only thing that I get worried about in dock is sometimes I miss bandage, because that is a pretty heavily contested resource. But I know like a few patches back they added an extra bandage into the zone, so that's kind of hype. Yeah, that is the build. I really like this one. I think it's quick, easy. It's not like crazy in the components you need. Things I like to transition into is I do like Halo or Crown, mostly Crown in this headgear spot, just because a lot of people build it, so it's pretty easy to pick off bodies, and that extra AP helps my E out a lot, and just other damage in the kit as well. Depending on the day too, I will sub out this for Tuxedo. I try to upgrade my gun into the kettle or whatever it's called. It's the gold pistol, and then I like tablet for my upgrade in my accessory, but that's kind of a rare upgrade. It's kind of like, well, like I have that force core, but I can't really get any other resources other than like flower and playing cards. Yeah, I do upgrade my boots into feather boots. Like if I find someone with those, I do like the attack speed, but just feather isn't really realistic in picking up in this route. But yeah, that's about it. I think that's all I got for you on Jenny right now. I've been playing her a lot. I think you guys should too. She's really fun. The only thing is, if you have anything that I might have left out or any advice that you'd like to give, leave that in the comments. I actually really love pinning that kind of stuff because it definitely helps out new players that weren't able to make it through this whole video. But yeah, I think we had some fun today. I recorded this all pretty much on my birthday. It's probably going to come out the day after, so if you're feeling generous, maybe gift me a like this video, you know. If you got those big pockets, maybe drop a subscription even. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. I will see you later.